What up, everybody? It's your boy PTK BLAM back with another episode of the Shop Podcast here on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, I should say. I just want to thank everybody for coming out, joining us here live on this Saturday afternoon. We got a bunch of great gamers in here. I did a little different this week. I had an idea earlier, to kind of bring some subscribers in and kind of get their opinion, have them join the panel. Let's talk about some games. The chat is live, everybody. You know how we do every Saturday. Put your questions in the chat if you have them. We will answer them at a later time towards the end of the chat. So I'm going to go around the panel like I always do, let everybody speak for themselves. So I'll go ahead and start with my right-hand man, GKB, or AKA the Governor. Fresh off the movie set there on the console corner. So go ahead and introduce yourself, GKB.
What's up, everybody? It's GKB, aka the Governor. As Blam said, we had a really cool show. We had face cams. We had a nice set for everybody to see. I want to be a big shout out to the community, man. You guys were fantastic. Great response for that show, and we're going to continue to do it every week. This week we got the Halloween special coming up, so stay tuned for that.
For sure, yeah. You guys stay tuned, and I think you guys are doing a community game night, so everybody don't forget about that. Community game night will be live. What's the game tonight, GKB?
It's Doom, and there's like a 15 gig patch, so start downloading it now. I had to start mine too.
Okay. Yeah, so if you guys enjoy that community game night, it's going to be Doom tonight. So everybody tune in. They always do a good. It's always good fun. They always do a good event. The community game nights are always fun. So let's go ahead and move on here. I'll go with my two special guests here. We'll go ahead and start with you. Chuck, man, I hit you up earlier this week, and you were one of the first people to hit me back to actually be on the podcast here today. So go ahead and shout out yourself, Chuck.
What's that with your BLAM, man? It's an honor to be on here. You know what I mean? It's your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm up, and I'm here to talk about some games, game accessories, and everything else about games. I'm ready to get it, so it's on you. Let's do this thing.
All right. And I got my man Eric here, man. He was also another subscriber that hit me up when I sent out the question about the subscriber session. So he's on the show here today. Glad to have him here. Go ahead and shout yourself out, Eric.
Hey guys, Eric or Easy E Man. But yeah, my first podcast on here, so I'm pretty excited and been a gamer for quite a long time since the good old ColecoVision Atari days. So been doing a good bit of gaming, but yeah, I love games and excited about tonight and just talk with everyone and hope it's a good show.
For sure. All right. And then we got, I saved Livewire for last, man. This man is the energy of the podcast a lot of times.
Motherfucking pussy ass bitch shot me right in my goddamn dick hole.
He's playing Battlefield 1, everybody, so don't even mind him.
My bad.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Nah,
Is it my turn?
Yeah, you good. I'm just
All right, man.
Nah, yeah, go ahead. Let everybody know, man.
Man, this motherfucker shot me in my dick, man, with the M bar, yo. Oh. Yeah, but it's your boy Live, man. What's up, y'all?
And I guess that's how we gonna start the show, everybody. So let's go ahead and just dive into the topics. Once again, everybody, I appreciate you guys showing support to the podcast. I'm working on a couple other things. Me and GKB got something cooking up for you guys. We're gonna be starting that. More than likely next week, you guys will see the first episode of something me and GKB have been talking about for a few weeks here. So you guys stay tuned. So let's go ahead and dive right into the topics, man. So first thing I want to talk about is the build conference. Microsoft did have their build conference this week. Came out of it. I want to specifically talk about the Xbox related things. They had a lot of other Surface, news. The tablet, obviously, the i7. You got the high end tablet, which pretty much a high-end desktop or laptop at this point. Then you got the actual Surface not desk, but the actual desktop itself. But we want to talk about the Xbox stuff, man. The first thing I wanted to bring up specifically about the Xbox stuff is the Beam app coming to Windows 10 and Xbox One. And I know this is big for me because I don't have like a HD card or capture card as of yet. There's other ways to stream. You can use OBS and things like that. But this is nice. It's really convenient to have the app coming to Xbox One and Windows 10. Literally just click a button, right from the Windows 10 app. I'm assuming at some point we're going to get an Xbox One app. So I want to go ahead and start with you, Chuck. How do you feel about the Beam app and also the arena and tournaments coming to the Xbox One next year?
First off, with the Beam app, when I was seeing it, like the first thing I was thinking about what Microsoft is trying to do is it's not a direct competing with Sony, But you know how the PlayStation 4, you could just straight automatically upload YouTube. I think they having their own version of that. What you know, what I'm saying it's gonna be with Beam, and they trying to cut out the middleman. Well, it'll be like straight from your Xbox or straight from what you have through Windows to being able to upload. You know, cutting out the middleman, so it wouldn't be all this long process. So you know, what I'm saying all shortcuts for me is good. So that's what I was looking at about the Beam. By the Beam app, and then from what I was saying about like the no latency and being able to react with your fans, and if they want to push a button, you know, it's so many applications. I mean, it's almost infinity. But you know what I'm saying, for the starter, what they're doing look like they're going in the right direction. That's pretty much what I got off the Microsoft conference in the arenas. I've been waiting for the arenas because just think about if you playing Madden or something like that, and if they could implement Beam with that, you could be in a tournament where you could watch other people's playing. You could take notes and like, okay, this person is a heavy runner. He run to this side or he do this here, so you could be able to watch him play in a tournament if they want to live stream all the tournaments, and you know, just make it like you watching a real football game, and then being able to take notes and then come back and play and counter react. So I mean, it can go to like sport, just not sports game. It could be fighting games and different genres of games. I mean, everything what I'm saying so far is just like next generation.
Cool, good point, man. A lot of good points. You were right about the arena and tournaments. A lot of people be looking forward to that. Xbox One is, everybody knows it's a place to go for multiplayer games, man. It's the best live platform to play on as far as consoles go. Most stable, fastest, most reliable. We all know that, everybody. So now that they've added the arena and the tournaments, or they're going to be adding those things, a lot of people are going to take advantage of those. So let's move on to you, Eric. How do you feel about the new applications coming to Windows 10 and Xbox One, specifically Beam and the actual arenas and tournaments?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I remember watching it at work. I think it was the day after. I was just kind of watching some of that at work, the whole conference. And when I saw something, I thought, yeah, like it was already mentioned about Beam, I thought it was a good idea because I know people wanting an app where you can stream directly from your Xbox. And when Beam, just a few times I've used it, yeah, it's a really awesome app. I definitely love it just because how instant it is with the viewers. You can stream, they can communicate with you. So I like that aspect, and like was mentioned, it kind of reminded me a little bit of IDAR. Remember when you're playing that and how you stream it and people kind of put commands in and interact with the stream going on. I'm like, that'd be cool. Almost like for every game where people can kind of interact with you as you're streaming and change that gameplay of Forza Horizon 3 was pretty cool when they were saying, hey, go off-road, and then like, okay, they kind of got to vote, what do you want to do, and then all that. So I think that's pretty awesome. And then the arena, that's going to be a lot of fun. I think a really big addition, just like the looking for group and so far and all that stuff has been really cool. I see a lot of people been utilizing clubs and all that. So and there's a local game store here that does a lot of local tournaments, for Smash and other little things. And I thought it'd be awesome to have that where not only for maybe a local group of friends, but just anyone in general have a tournament set up. Like, hey, let's start one at 8 o'clock tonight and give people 12 hours to sign up per day and then set everything up. I can really see that being utilized for maybe even some pro stuff would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. It's just, that's a little about Microsoft, just the whole conference, not even just Xbox. I'm like, they really seem to be pushing forward the industry and like, hey, let's utilize this stuff. And like, I don't know, different subject, but I know with the VR stuff they introduced, I don't know how that would be introduced to gaming, but when they drop their own unit for a pretty good price, I thought, oh, that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to utilize that. Maybe for the Scorpio down the road, they may have that where, hey, that headset would go with Scorpio and then do some stuff. So yeah, overall, I was impressed with everything I saw with the Xbox side. I'm pretty excited everything that's coming.
Awesome, man. That's a good analysis, man. You did mention that they're cutting the middleman out. That's kind of what I got from that. That's the biggest thing is they're just making those types of things more accessible just to average consumer. Like you said, there's a lot of people that want to make tournaments and they have friends or a network of friends or even people of our age that work with people and colleagues and coworkers that we could just jump on and say, okay, let's go ahead and start up this tournament on Killer Instinct or on some other game, real quick, Call of Duty, whatever it is. And it's something that you don't need to put too much time into actually do. They made it real accessible, real easy for everybody to do. So I think big things are going to come out of that. So let's move on to you, GKB. How do you feel about those new additions, man? Beam app and the arenas and tournaments.
Yeah, man. You know, we heard Microsoft, talk a lot about like, gaming's in the forefront. It's an integral part of their, whole process going forward. And how did they, show that off? They started a Windows event and just talked about Xbox and gaming and stuff like that. That's really awesome to see. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that, so I want to bring that up. That's really cool. As far as Beam goes, man, as soon as they announced the acquisition to Beam, I hopped right on and never looked back. I love Beam. I love the low latency. I think it's a great service. And I also was mentioning back then, I was like, Beam could get really huge, if Microsoft goes ahead and backs it. And that's what they're going to do, man. They're putting it into Windows 10, so every Windows 10 out there is going to get a Beam app. It's going to go to Xbox. So everybody that likes streaming on the Xbox, right from the Xbox, it's going to work there. And Twitch needs some competition, man. Like, they're the only one out there. And competition is good for everybody. Everybody wins when that happens. So that's really cool. As far as like the tournaments and everything, I think that's going to be really awesome. That's another feature that I can't wait for, because that's going to be really great for like what we do. And that's the community game time. We could set up like fight tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited about that stuff, man. It's a really good time to be an Xbox gamer.
Yeah, definitely. They've hit their stride, man. We've been talking about this. I keep repeating this like the last 3 or 4 podcasts, man. Xbox is, fuck stride, man. They're in full sprint mode at this point,
yeah, dude.
man. It just, they've kind of
They're
taken
running
off.
against Bolt right now, bro, in the Olympics right now.
For sure, man. It's looking good, man. And I'm proud to be an Xbox gamer. And everybody that owns an Xbox should be too, because, this console, 3 years in the making, 3.5 years going on 4 at this point, and this console is constantly improving, man. The console that we got back in 2013, it's a completely different console if you bought one now. Completely the night and day difference. So,
real quick, like
go ahead.
To answer everybody in the chat, Beam's a streaming service, much like Twitch. But the cool thing about Beam is the low latency. Like when you're a streamer, you want to have that interaction with your people. So it's almost
right
like
away.
Zero latency. So like when you type something in the chat, I see it and I answer it right away. And that's like one of the biggest factors. They also have interactive gaming and stuff, which is really cool. So you can push buttons on the screen there and interact with the game. So that's what Beam is in a nutshell. Yeah,
and they have like mini games for the actual viewers too. You can earn like points and things like that. For viewing people's streams and interacting with the actual person streaming. So it's pretty neat. Live, man. How do you feel about these new features, man? The Beam app and the actual arenas and tournaments.
Well, first with the arenas and tournaments, I like it because it can, give a game longevity. Like games like Killer Instinct or games like Titanfall, the original. You can get people to have more tournaments on there because it's a little bit more focused, so it gets people to jump on games that they usually kind of forget about, or they don't pay attention that much to, especially people that aren't like heavy fighting game people, but they do want to, all right, this will make me play this game for whatever time. It might be 30 minutes, it might be, 2 hours, whatever it is. So I like that aspect of, basically doing tournaments. And with Beam, I think Beam is cool. What I think they should do with it is utilize a lot of those connect functions as far as the backgrounds, so you don't have to have a green screen, just like you don't need it with Upload Studio. You can just make the connect green screen and all that shit and just use whatever you want. Or Microsoft can make applications for like default green screens and that way too. And hopefully you could store your streams. I don't know how long they will hold them, but hopefully you could store at least a couple of them. That would be cool. But the latency is a big thing, so that's dope. I mean, as long as it's easy to use, it'll be a win. Like if you can make it more intuitive than the Twitch is right now, and not to say that Twitch is something hard to do, but if Beam could work as easy as just doing game DVR, then that shit is dope.
Definitely. What do you think about the okay, you already said the tournaments and everything. Okay, cool. Good topic, man. Shout out to everybody viewing live right now. Like I said before, everybody down in the chat, it is live. So if you have your questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat section. We'll answer those a little bit later on in the show. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. That was a good opening topic, man. Got everybody up and awake. So this next topic is about Nintendo. You guys know how I like to I like to talk about Nintendo. A lot of other people don't really talk that often, but I like to talk about them every now and then when they actually have some shit to talk about. So I wanted to bring up the Switch because when it came out, they first announced it. Everybody was flipping balls. Oh my God, Nintendo hit the fucking, ball out the park, home run, all the way. Day one buy, take my money, please. And I kind of looked at the situation and was like, okay, everybody, pump your brakes because new hardware is always exciting, especially from Nintendo because you haven't had shit from them for the last 3 or 4 years. So, a lot of their fans, or even their core fans, are kind of starving for something. To get everybody's opinion on the Switch now at this point, now that the dust is settled and everything's kind of settled down. Because just from my standpoint, and I'll start with myself here. During the initial reaction, I ended up with more questions than answers, and I felt like there was a lot of unanswered questions. Maybe we'll get some answers at some point. Before the damn thing actually comes out, about the online infrastructure. Because it's nice to have a new console, but if I still can't do party chat, I still can't do cross game chat. What is the point of having this shiny new console? Things like that, I think, were kind of being overlooked, and I wanted to get you guys' opinion. So we'll go ahead and start with you on this one, Eric. What do you think about the Switch now that everything's kind of settled? Are there still questions for you about the system?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you and maybe most other people. I was pretty excited to hear about that because I'm like, oh, yeah, new console, and it's pretty cool. And I know we had, I guess kind of interesting is I think what they revealed is kind of a lot of the rumors were coming about way back about kind of being a hybrid console, mobile kind of thing, and that, of course, ended up being true. But yeah, I liked what I saw from it in general, but kind of like you, I had some questions, and I think I read recently that I think January they're having another conference, and they're going to be focusing more on like the actual games coming and maybe some specs or stuff. So looking forward to that to kind of get more info about it, because that's the main thing I thought of was, okay, what games are coming, what features, because I hope it's not like a Wii U 2.0 where they add almost like they still have the gamepad, but now you can actually take it with you, but still not have any of the features that we're used to on Xbox, because that's the big thing. Because to me, it's almost, I like to get one for the exclusives, just because of Nintendo exclusives, but will it be worthwhile? I think the big thing people were excited about was, okay, the third-party support, if they have a lot of it, and maybe taking the game on the road with you. So, of course, I know they showed the Skyrim, and then it was revealed like, oh, Skyrim's not confirmed for it. So I'm like, I don't know why you show that to get people excited, and then they're like, oh, it's not coming yet. Hold off on that. But that's kind of cool. Me, I'm more focused on the console aspect. I'll probably play it more here if I get one. I'm thinking about getting one still, as I have a Wii U, but sadly I don't play it. I'm kind of on the board where I don't think there's a backwards compatibility for it to go to the Switch. So I'm like, okay, I'll probably just sell on my Wii U stuff and just kind of go on board with it, depending what's on. I think it depends on the other games and the features, because in a way, I like having like a system, the good features and multiplayer, and hopefully they have an achievement thing or see about that. Hopefully more power. I think it's going to be like the PS4 and Xbox One right now, but to me, I probably keep Xbox for that. I'm not going to switch multi-plats, I don't think, to Nintendo. I'm going to still probably use Xbox for all that and just stick to the exclusives. So I'm more looking forward to what games they reveal. If they have Mario, the new Zelda, and a lot of good Metroid and some of that stuff coming out at launch, I'm like, okay, I probably will be excited about picking one up. So I think to me, it depends more on that.
Yeah, and I want to kind of say something, kind of a service announcement. I love Nintendo. Most of us here do. Most people actually do. Most gamers have this soft spot for Nintendo. And me, for instance, I'm probably gonna buy the damn thing just for Zelda. That's how huge
that's
of a Zelda fan I am. So GKB knows. GKB knows it's my favorite game of all time. Livewire knows. So I'll probably just buy it for that. But honestly, questions. There's so much to think about. The battery life when you take it on the go, and the processor. It's pretty much a processor that runs. It's like a cell phone level processor, just modified. A lot of the different things that I'm thinking about, like about the online service at this point. Is that going to be their day one, or is that something that they're going to build on, then they go in and revamp it? Because like I said before, it's like taking a Ferrari and putting a Civic engine in a Ferrari. Like, it doesn't make sense. The console's nice, but if you don't have that online infrastructure, it's going to disappoint a lot of us people who have PlayStation 4s and who have Xbox Ones who are used to those features. So go ahead and we'll go with you, Chuck. How do you feel about the Switch at this point?
First of all, PTK, you said they ain't, Nintendo ain't had no hardware in the last 3 years, but truthfully, they ain't had no real hardware since. So I mean, I can't count the Wii and the Wii U. I mean, them not really really hardware to me. What I think about the Switch when I first seen it, and I liked it, I had a lot of questions, but I knew that answers were gonna come down the pipeline. But you know, when it first came out, you know, it's all pretty. They showing you all these different things could do, and some people, I ain't heard nobody say the system. You see how when you dock it, how it's standing up. But I was really looking at it, like on the back end. I'm not sure, but it looked like they had something where you could actually lay it down so it won't be sticking up. Because on my entertainment center, I can't stand it up unless I'm standing in front of my TV, and that wouldn't sit right. So it looked like you can lay it down, so I don't have to be standing upright. So hopefully that's what they do. And then when they were saying about the next generation console, but the next generation handheld, because it's not really a console, because they charges that they were saying about all the power is gonna come from the tablet. So it's just like my expectations went from, okay, I'm iffy about it, but I like what I'm seeing, to the more and more I hear about it, the more I be like, I don't really want to get this out. But it's Nintendo, and me personally, favorite Zelda was Zelda for the 64. But nowadays, if Zelda ain't taking that sword and sticking it through somebody, and you see some blood on the end of that sword, but you know what I'm saying, I just can't get jiggy with it no more.
I feel you on that. Definitely.
But I still like it though. But it's just not for me. It'll be something for somebody else, because you know, Nintendo, person that from zero, I'm like a Nintendo, get somebody a PlayStation 13 to 24, and most of the grown men is on Xbox, where you know you got the, you know what I'm saying, the real games. But you know, Nintendo will be a good second console, so it don't really need to have no online feature. I mean, it would be nice to have all these perks, but it don't need them, because who gonna really use in the third party games? I don't really play those, but it would be good to have to put it on. Like for me, I take the undock it. I might go sit in my car if I got like peep in my house, and I hook it up to my car and be playing it. You know what I'm saying, playing it in the car when I can hear the sound through the speakers, or you know, just something like that. But it ain't nothing I just want to just go take out and about, and just, you know, because it got too many small pieces. You might lose it. Kids, you know, they gonna lose it. They probably banking on that, selling extra little pieces, because you know you're gonna break and lose all those small pieces. So yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about what they was doing. I mean, it's gonna, trust me, it's gonna sell like hotcakes when it first come out. But you know, it's just not my type of console. But I might still get it though. I don't want to contradict myself with it, but I'm still fence. I don't know what side to jump on just yet.
All right.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about losing the controllers and stuff like that. So that'd be one big issue. There's little bitty things and what happens, but
yeah. And also too, another thing about the controller is that I think that Pro controller is separate. I don't think that comes with the actual console. I think you're just gonna get the one that slides on and slides off and docks with the actual tablet portion. You probably got to buy that other one separate. So that's something that, you know, I mean, it is what it is. That's part of the whole gimmick of the console, is the detachable pieces and things like that. So I understand that. It's just a lot of questions though. Another thing I forgot to bring up too was that there was, I don't know if it's confirmed or not. In GKB, you could probably tell me that the actual storage is like 128 gigabytes or something, or I think that's it that you get on the actual console. I don't. It may be expandable. I'm not 100% sure. That may be enough space for that console, because they're using like the cartridge type. They're not using like disc. But you know, when you got to think about it too, a lot of these third-party games, if they are going to be on the system, a lot of these games have huge DLCs and updates that are consistently, you know, every week, every couple weeks, or every month, there's an update, 3 gigs, 2 gigs. So 128 gigs, if it is true, I'm just not seeing it as enough.
I think that was like expandable to 128. I don't know if that was like.
There's cell phones with 128. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, come on now, you know. But anyway, only you, GKB.
Yeah. So, blowing the cartridges.
Yeah. Blowing the cartridges. That's awesome. So yeah, like we've been talking about Nintendo for, you know, a couple months now, and the more we talked about it, the more questions were. And then we got this awesome trailer, which actually I thought, you know, spoke to me as a gamer. I like the fact that they didn't have, you know, any children in there as like millennials, young adults, and all that kind of stuff. Some MLG kind of type stuff, and I thought it was really cool. I thought initially, I thought it was really cool, and it's probably still going to be a day one for me. just for like the simple fact of Zelda, and they were talking about another Mario game. Those are two franchises that I love. But as we start to see, after that commercial, it didn't really answer a lot of the questions that we had. And in effect, like what you've been saying, Blam and others, it's gotten us more questions. Like, is there an online? And in that trailer, I didn't see anybody with headsets on, anybody like chatting or anything like that. So maybe that's coming down the line. I probably would doubt it. The other issue is, they're on cartridges, and I brought this up a couple of times on podcast too. What you were saying, Blam, is about the storage. Like, they're on cartridges, and they can put all that stuff. But as we've seen in this generation with games, they do update them. They do have DLCs, and especially if they're getting like third-party support, as they've been saying and touting the whole time. How is that going to work? Also, they've been saying that the dock doesn't help out the performance at all for the tablet. So that's kind of a weird thing there as well. I was hoping actually the dock would have the extra storage, so when I took it on the go, I could just take the game and the DLC with me on the tablet, and then leave the rest of my games or whatever the case may be at that point. I do like the fact that they showed a Pro controller, because that was my biggest thing from seeing the Nintendo NX before. I didn't like the controller designs. I really hated them, and I'm glad that they're going to be bringing a Pro controller. And I hope they have a bundle of some sort where they have a cheaper version without it, and then you get another bundle with all the bells and whistles. That would be really cool. Also, there's a 720p screen that they confirmed now. And that's okay, because on that size of screen, 720 is fine. Like, there's enough pixels on there. It's going to be really nice and beautiful. So I'm not worried about that too much. But there's still questions, man. Like, they really didn't answer any. But me as a gamer, and I've been growing up with Nintendo. It's not my first console, but it was one of the early ones that I had, and I still have that nostalgia to Nintendo, so I'll probably still pick it up and see how it goes from there, though.
Yeah, and I feel like too, GKB. I'm not saying that the Switch won't sell. I think it's going to sell like crazy. Just off the simple fact that people are so the Wii U at this point, it's been abandoned. Nintendo's kind of abandoned the console at this point. They're just letting it. They haven't dropped the price on it or anything, which is super surprising. Even knowing that the Switch is around the corner, usually you drop the price to kind of clear your stock, for the new system. Try to get what you can out of that Wii U while it's around. I still think it should be no more than $250 when a bundle.
And to your point too, Blam, like about the the online features, I think, like, if we really look at this like commercial that they put out, like this teaser thing, they showed people gathering together with their Switches and like setting them up and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I understand the whole on the go thing, but I don't think they would push it as hard in this thing if they had an online infrastructure. I think they would have like hinted to like somebody wearing a headset and stuff like that. So I don't really think they're going to have an online infrastructure coming in March. Honestly, maybe later down the road, but
that's a good point. Because I noticed that they're probably going more like the old school way, like, hey, let's get people together and play in person, opposed to doing online like others. So they'll probably try to do something different. But
well, you think about it too, like when you take the tablet out, you're going to need online to do the online service, right? So how's that going to work? You're going to need like a 4G service. You're going to only be able
Wi-Fi.
to. So that whole part doesn't fit into the online service that we're accustomed to on like Xbox or PS4. So
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point too, because once you take that thing off the dock, what type of connection do you need to actually run it? Online. I know you can probably take the single player stuff, and that won't be an issue, but online games, how third party games specifically, your 2Ks, your Call of Duties, if they do happen to get those games, how are those things going to work once that thing is off the dock? You're going to have some type of 4G service, LTE. I mean, to play live online, like on the go, you need a pretty good connection, to play stuff like that. So, it's just a lot of questions. So let's go ahead and move on live. I know we didn't get your opinion yet, man. What do you think about the Switch?
I think it looks interesting. The questions are going to be as far as really how practical is it? For people that play handhelds, I don't think it'll be a big deal for you to have disc or SD cards with the game, because they have to run around with cartridges anyway. But anybody is not. I mean, people that want to basically download their games, they might have an issue with it, because Well, one, all right. I don't think the updates are going to be an issue because more than likely they'll give you an SD card that should be able to hold whatever update they plan, or give you enough room in that card, for whatever they believe the size of their DLC will be. But as far as like just having multiple games without actually having to have these cards with you, unless they have a way to do like some kind of compression. And I mean, they invented some shit that we don't know about, where they can make files that are normally like, 100, 50 to 100 gigs for Xbox and PlayStation down to like maybe 20 on Nintendo. I don't know how the fuck they're gonna be able to do like downloadable games. That'll be interesting, but it looks cool. I just think it's kind of limited of what it can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of disappointing as far as the docking thing is only as far as we know is only a power supply. Because if it gives it more power and it can give you storage, that would be a win. It's a big win because you could just be like, all right, I want to shift over this one game because I'm going to play this one game or maybe two. How much did they say? You said 250 gigs?
No,
I think it's
128.
expandable to 128.
Expandable, yeah.
All right, so whatever it is, maybe you can hold like two, 3 games on the actual handheld itself, and the rest will just be stored into your docking. Now that would be dope. You don't want to need these cards, unless you really wanted it. But the fact that it doesn't seem like it's going to be that way is kind of disappointing, because that would have been like, forward thinking for Nintendo. But God forbid we could do that. I don't.
Not Nintendo.
Yeah, and on top of it, the thing is, like this tablet, this device that they've made has to have a lot of the functions that a regular tablet would have. Now, whether or not they use Chrome or, I mean, I don't know what else you wouldn't use Windows. It wouldn't look like they're going to use Edge as their browser, so they would have to use Chrome or some bullshit ass Nintendo browser, which good lord. But they have to have apps for it. So you would think, all right, they partner up with Google, have all these Google apps, and along with Nintendo games that they could have on there. Now that could be something that they could do, but then again, at that same point, it's like, well, what the fuck would you make it so small? It should be a terabyte, because then you can put all these apps on there. Because now you're filling up Nintendo games and freaking Google apps and games, and it's just like you wouldn't have any space for that. But like I said,
they also stated there's no back compatibility either, so that's
that's kind of
I don't know. Like it seems like they just made a handheld console. It might have a few little bells and whistles here and there, but for the most part, it's like, all right, you got all your AAA stuff that you want in a tablet, but all the other shit that you want in the tablet, you don't have. And that would be terrible, just for the simple fact that it's just like you're trying to tell people that do play on tablets to play on this instead for AAA games only. And unless you're a hardcore Nintendo fan, that's a hard sell.
Yeah. Good point. And I think so too, because another thing is that I just recently bought my son. He already had a 2DS. I just recently bought him a 3DS XL. It seemed kind of redundant. So if I have a 3DS XL already, what am I doing with this tablet?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I was wondering how having a 3DS. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know that the games you're playing on this tablet, this hybrid, are going to be far higher quality, AAA titles, but like it feels redundant. Like I understand, the market, and they already have the handheld market on lock. Maybe that's more reason for them to go this route. But I feel like, people are just gonna still grab their DS when they're leaving the house. If they do game on the go, they're not really gonna take. I think it's gonna be a novelty, and it's gonna wear off really fast. It's gonna be cool the first 2 or 3 times you do it. After that, you're just gonna start reaching for that DS again. Like, okay, my DS with me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just more functional, and it's built for that on-the-go type gameplay. So I don't know. I think Nintendo. It remains to be seen. It'll sell, I think, but I don't know about this one, man. I think most people are going to get it, have it just sitting in the house like a normal console. They're not really going to utilize that on-the-go feature all that much. Maybe walking around the house, going to use the bathroom in the backyard, something like that, but not like taking it on a flight or something like that somewhere. So I don't know. We'll see. So let's go ahead and move on.
It's like they're trying too hard to make the next big gimmick kind of thing, like the Wii. Like, let's have a huge thing that's a little bit different from what's out there now. Maybe it'll catch on and be a massive thing instead of just a good regular home console that people want, because that's all I want it for. I definitely won't take it on the road all the time like most people, like they're wanting.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on here. To switch gears here. We're gonna be talking some No Man's Sky. So put your seatbelts on. I know some of us got a lot to say about this. So recently, we know the flaming pile of shit that No Man's Sky has been since it came out. I don't mean to be harsh, but it is what it is. Everybody, we know the game dropped and it blew up in everybody's face. The game wasn't supported well. They just kind of put it out and then abandoned it. Sony abandoned it. They don't even want anything to do with it. They don't even comment about the game anymore. Then we found out that you got disgruntled employees hacked the Twitter, whether it was intentional or not. Nobody's still talking about fixing the game or doing anything or showing any future support for the game. Sony hasn't talked about it since Yoshida kind of threw him under the bus, or whoever that was threw him under the bus from Sony. I can't remember which executive. So I wanted to get you guys' opinion. I feel like this is like a for any small developer, that does get that does have Sony or Microsoft come to them with that big check. I think this is definitely a wake-up call on how to not do that and how to not go into like a partnership, and don't push people's expectations past your own limits, because they didn't have a gigantic team working on the game. The idea was big. The idea was actually a fantastic idea, just was poorly executed. So I want to go ahead and get your opinion. We'll start with you, GKB, on the whole No Man's Sky fiasco and situation, man, as it's playing out.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, you're saying like Sony is not really talking about it. They actually are talking about it. They're just talking about how they didn't really have anything to do with it, which is I kind of find a little odd because, they're pumping money into this. If they're putting money into it, I can't believe that they don't have any say in anything. They didn't tell them anything. They didn't help them out in any particular way. So I think that's a shame. I think Sony should, take some of the blame for this as well. We thought that the price was like astronomical for this game. Like I feel for the people out there that, got ripped off or felt they got ripped off by this game. Where are the developers? Where are they talking about it? They say they're quiet because they're working on patches for the game, but we don't see anything. It's just a terrible situation, and you hate to see this kind of stuff. And you see other devs talking about it as well because they're watching this, and they got to worry about their games coming out as well and not getting hammered like this and losing support and all kinds of stuff like that, man. It's just a terrible situation, honestly.
Yeah, it's so bad, man, and I'm surprised, GKB, honestly, at how hands off Sony has been in this entire situation.
Well, they were pumping it, dude. They were like constantly talking about this game,
on E3 stage. They
right.
gave it,
and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yo, we didn't tell them that. We didn't do this. We didn't do that." Like, what are you talking about? You were sitting here like E3 and everything else. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, so it's kind of tough, man. It's kind of tough. So we'll go ahead and what about you, Chuck? What do you think about the whole No Man's Sky fiasco, man? How you feeling about that?
Man, it's really a shame. It's a shame how Yoshida had threw him under the bus. And to be honest with you, I think that they responded because of how Yoshida just kind of threw him under the bus about the situation. So they felt a little burnt about it. But the way they said a lot of way they said the things about some TV show or something like that, from what I heard, I was like, being dedicated to the game. If y'all messed if the game wasn't supposed to come out when it did, first, man, really and truly, that should have been like a preview type game. But the way the game had came out, it didn't live up to expectations. And I know that they said it was rushed, and they forced them to put it out there because they're a small indie company, and you got Sony bagging them, and when you got Sony still is a giant over them. So if they bullying them to tell them, come on, go now, you need to come out now. And then you got people threatening them about the game. And, it was a lot of pressure, but at the same time, they should have just been honest and came out with the people and just like, well, look, this game is we only could bring out this much of the game. We gonna add some free patches, or we gonna do something, to accommodate everybody with. And they should have did that before the game came.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
I'm expecting this super massive open world things going on. And the only other game that's kind of got me worried about it is the shit they had on Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
I'm feeling do the same thing with that company with that game, that they're gonna rush it to hurry and get it out there, and it's gonna be a half a game. Because if they did that to Capcom, and Capcom was a pretty big company, to say they made them push out the Street Fighter so fast. Because from what I heard, it was supposed to come out in 2018, and they pushed it out early because they ain't had nothing else to come out there. So, and Sony need 5% of the blame. If they wanted a good game to come out with that they wanted, they should have sent their people out there to double check to make sure that the game was on par of what they was advertising, because Sony did advertise this game as a AAA exclusive when really and truly it barely touched the realm of AA. The whole $60 for the game, when everybody know that it should have been like $30, maybe $40 at max if they was gonna push it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's too much.
Yeah, good point.
Both ends.
A lot of good points, man. You're right. We know this whole situation is kind of spiraled out of control. I don't think, and honestly, that Shenmue 3 reference is a really, really good reference too, because that game's kind of, going in Kickstarter mode. They had some issues with, promises that they made to people that were actually backing the game. Special things, if you backed it with a certain amount of money, and they had some issues. That was the last time I've even heard about Shenmue 3. I have no idea which stage the game is at this point, or if it's coming out anytime soon. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just another game that's falling through the cracks, man. It's a great idea, honestly, just terribly poorly executed. So what about you, Eric? How do you feel about the No Man's Sky? Did I already get you, or no? I think I didn't.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, to me, like what's been said already, it's a shame. Probably, if not this year, probably maybe the biggest disappointment this whole generation so far. Just how it was hyped up, and then it just became how it is now. It just sucks for everyone that got hyped up for it. Could be, I guess, a good example of what not to do as far as doing a game, as far as how they advertised it, how hyped people got for it, and then the sales. I think all the sales it got, 90% ended up returning it or getting a refund or something. It's just insane how many people went from getting it and then how it turned out. And then, of course, it just sucks seeing how, kind of Sony almost threw them under the bus, and then how bad press they're getting. Now, the only thing people talk about concerning the game is how bad it is, or just all this negative stuff. There's nothing about how the game is, or, how it's patched up or whatever. And like I was mentioning with Shenmue, this could be a thing where kind of like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, where any new game that comes out that's similar, where you have a indie dev or a game being published, people may be more hesitant to think, okay, we got burned before by a game like No Man's Sky. Now what's going to happen where, a Shenmue, another big game comes out? It's going to kind of maybe make people more cautious, and could even hurt a good game that comes out just because, something bad has happened with this. So it could affect future games. But yeah, it really sucks seeing just this happen in general, because I know, like I said, it's a good concept, probably be a little ambitious in what they're wanting to do, and then it just like I said, executed badly. And like I said, the game wasn't at all. It definitely should have been like a game preview game, like on Xbox, where it can continue to grow, and that way they know. Because I think this is something, if they really made the game, patched it like they promised it, it would probably take years to really get the game like it was supposed to be. So it's kind of like, and by now that the reputation's been hurt on it, so I don't see. So it's just
Yeah, it almost feels like Sean. What is his name? What's the developer's name? It's Sean.
Sean Astin or
Sean Murray.
Sean Murray.
Yeah, Sean Murray. I can think of his last name. Sean Murray. It's almost like he's been blacklisted. Like he just completely went off the grid. Like I'm not 100% sure what happened, but like that's, in my opinion, that's the worst thing you could do in the face of something like this, is just completely be silent and not say anything. because it just paints a bad picture. Like, okay, what's really going on here? You're not giving anybody anything. So, Live, man, I know you got a lot to say about this, man. What do you think about this?
It's Sony's fault. No, I'm just messing with you.
That's all.
No. Look, man, I have theories on this. This is what I think really happened with this game. I think what the game potentially was supposed to be isn't what it turned out to be because it basically really couldn't run on the PlayStation. I think they had to take a lot of shit out because let's be honest, No Man's Sky is, you could tell based on what they were telling us that the game would have to be a CPU heavy game. And we all know the CPU isn't the PlayStation's strong point. It's the GPU. So graphically the game looks good, but as far as computing power, they don't have that in the PlayStation. And I think one of the reasons why you have to land and scavenge like every 5 minutes is because it's a way to compensate for the fact that it doesn't have the computing power in order to really play the game that it was meant to be played, the way it was meant to be played. It's similar to, I remember there was an interview with Rob Ferguson said with Gears. And he said the reason why they had in the original Gears, they implemented fatigue is because the game would have been moving so fast that you will run into loading screens. And to avoid that, that's why they implemented fatigue in your running in the original Gears. So that's big. So I'm thinking that's probably what Sony ran into with this. They couldn't allow you just to fly, just literally fly from one planet to another, just simultaneously, because the shit would crash, and it did crash. Even after the fact that they already implemented the fact that you have to do all this scavenging shit just so it slows you down from really doing that. And on top of that, it still crashed. So that just tells me right there, this isn't the game they meant to build. It's the game they had to build based on the hardware that they basically were aiming for, because you couldn't build No Man's Sky to be amazing on PC without all this scavenging bullshit, and then the PS4 version be this scavenging hell, and you just be like, well, why the fuck would I ever buy that shit on console? This shit is garbage. I'm gonna just play that shit on PC, and that would just destroy Sony. I mean, as far as they're getting people to buy this game, nobody would want to. That would be like buying fucking what game is like horrible like that? Damn, I'm trying to think. I don't know, buying some like old ass, PS2 game instead of a PS4 game, and it's the same thing. Like like if you had the original Uncharted and versus Uncharted 4. Be like, even though they're both Uncharted, I would never play Uncharted 1 over Uncharted 4. Why the fuck would you? And I think with that, brought a lot of headaches, and then people didn't get the game that they wanted, and there's a lot of backlash, and then the dude had to just take the fall for it, even though it was probably not his fault because it wasn't the game he wanted to build. Sony sold him on, this is what you could do, and he was like, all right, this is what's up, and then found out that CPU was shit, and it's kind of fucked up. I mean, you know what the thing is I'm noticing now? If you pay attention, notice how from the beginning of this generation, Xbox One games were considered trash. They can't run this, and they gradually got better. You notice that? And then from the beginning of the generation, PS4 games were considered superior, and they gradually started to decline. Now look at Battlefield 1. They basically run exactly the same with a slight edge to Xbox in frame rate. And I think that trend is going to continue. I wouldn't be surprised if in next year you'll see multiplats run a lot better on Xbox than they do on PlayStation 4. They might still have a graphical boost, but the smoothness of the game will be like eons above what PS4 can do.
Good point. A lot of good points too about the technical issues of the game too, because that's another thing is that They were a small team. I think it was, I want to say 10 GKB was about 10 people working on the game. I think something like that. The team. So it was a very ambitious game, and I just think maybe they took on a little bit too much, and Sony kind of was like, we not fucking with this one.
Yeah.
Like, we're just gonna kind of let this. We'll take a mulligan on this one. We're not really gonna talk about this. So, so all right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here. We're gonna be taking questions here pretty soon. Everybody that's listening, want to shout out all you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up. Like all the content. Go look at my other videos too. I have a pretty big archive now. I've been doing this for a while, so take a look at some of the other videos and appreciate you guys' support. So the topic that I have here, the last actually written topic that I have left, is Scorpio games and hardware. Man, Phil went to Twitter and he got asked about, are devs working on hardware and games for this Scorpio already, and he just pretty much said, yeah, those are already in development. Most people knew that. Most people, it's a year away from being actually like coming out and dropping. So you'd figure that this thing with the ball has already gotten rolling on games and things like that. So, but I did see a lot of comments on Twitter about people not being too sure about it. People still saying, oh, no, we got to wait, maybe not. So I wanted to get you guys' opinion on how you guys felt about, Scorpio and games being specifically developed for Scorpio and things like that. So we'll start with you, Chuck, on this one. What are you thinking about the Scorpio in 2017, man? You think devs are already, making games for it and working on the hardware?
All right. People that don't think so, they must didn't watch E3 of 2016, because Phil Spencer said out his own mouth, he announcing this so the game developers could have access to it now, so they could start working on games now. So I know if a person think that they when they announced the project the Pro, when they first announced that, so everybody, they ain't never say nothing about the games and stuff about that. Phil Spencer about is they working on the games and what games are they coming out with. He's a gamer, so he's gonna bring out games that should be. The games are coming first. All right, the games that we have now, the ones that's dynamic resolution, that's meant so when the Scorpio do come out, that they could be 4K native, so so they can raise it up to 4K with ease. You got the games from the Windows putting over there like Gears. They gonna got a PC port, so it's gonna come out when the system come out, we're gonna automatically have 4K games from the backlog of games that we have, and then all these games that we seen in the near future that's about to come out, they're gonna be 4K ready. Third party games that's coming out, like you have Red Dead that's supposed to come out next year. I know it's got Sony marketing, but around the same time as the Scorpio, what you think is gonna show the best on native 4K? That's why I was looking at that. So when people were saying that, I kind of like ignore them, because it's like they down talking about something that they just don't want it to be. They just don't want to see the Scorpio coming out with games, and it's like right in front of your face, like, look, here go games, and like a person like, man, I can't see. So I ain't really trying to get too deep in that, because to me it's just like, it's stupidity when somebody else say they not coming out with games. Spencer, the first thing he talk about is the games that he coming, new games. He trying to bring out new franchises. He throwing stuff out there, trying to see what people like. They taking notes. They getting feedback from us, trying to see what we like, what we don't like, what type of games we like. Let's do something different. Okay, we know there's a shooter box, but we gonna still give y'all the best shooters, because Xbox bring the best shooters, but we still gonna try to bring y'all these different genres. We got JRPGs. I mean, touch every person that's a gamer in their category of what they like. So when Scorpio come out, fresh games, catalog of games that's supposed to come out the early of next year, that's going to be on Scorpio. So I think we're going to be good with the games.
Good point, man. I feel the same way. I feel like, I think that, Phil's focused, and his Scorpio's coming out, man. It's going to be the most powerful system, to date at this point. So I think it's just kind of a foregone conclusion. And with it being a year away at this point from dropping, as far as we know what the release date is, I think that ball has been rolling. So let's go ahead and move on to you, GKB. What do you think, man? You think the games are already at this point, being made. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, he came out and said, progress is going well with the Scorpio and games and accessories, all that, and I take him as his word. Like, he's the head of Xbox, so why not believe what he's selling you? But I don't know, man. Like, for me, I'm not a big resolution guy. I've always said this over and over and over again. Resolution does not matter to me. I want bigger, better, not broken games when they come out. Like, to be honest with you. I think some of those games like Red Dead and Mass Effect and all those, they'll all be ready for Scorpio, Scalebound, Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves. They'll all get patches and everything will be great. But I still think, even though at this year's E3, he said, yeah, I'm giving it to the devs now so they can get work on it. That's still only 18 months or so before the Scorpio release. That's really not a long time. Maybe people that are halfway through development can start switching over and start doing stuff for the Scorpio and stuff, or maybe get patches later on. But I think, games initially might not have, all the bells and whistles that, games coming out after the Scorpio launches will have. And we see that with every generation when it comes out. Games in the beginning aren't usually as good as, towards the middle or the end of the generation. They really start to, grab all that power and do whatever they can to make the games as good as they can. So I think there's going to be that transition period. I think first parties will be 4K and all that kind of stuff, and that's great for people that care about that kind of stuff. But for me, just bigger, better, unbroken games going forward.
Awesome. Same here. So, Eric, ditto, man. Same question, brother. How you feel about the Scorpio, man? You feel like the ball's already got rolling on the system and the hardware?
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, pretty much my point was going to be what GKP and Chuck already kind of said that. Yeah, I know Phil tweeted. That's the whole reason he said what he did at E3 is to let people know, hey, developers, this is coming, so you have time to kind of get ready for it and kind of prepare. And I know he said too that it's been going. Progress is going pretty well. So I'm kind of expecting how the S was this year, where maybe around the August time frame, maybe next year is when the Scorpio may be ready to go, and they may have different iterations, different price points, different maybe hard drive space and different things like that, where you have one in August and then later on. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I think I lost my train of thought. But yeah, kind of was saying it's going to be interesting. I know, like GKP said, a resolution is nice and all, but I'm the same way. I would prefer a great game. I think even Phil even mentioned it. I think like the first party games will probably push 4K, but I think he's leaving it up to the devs where if they want to do 4K, that's cool. But if they want to make it more better graphic fidelity and just make it more and just look better like PC, but still be 1080 or 1440, whatever, they'll have that option. But yeah, in the same way, it's just like every system when that first starts off. I mean, look at 360, like Halo 3 and Halo 4. They both came out the same system, but you see how the difference in graphics and just how it looked. Just because the more you use the system as time goes on, the more they're used to it and can produce more from it. So, and kind of Livewire said last time, just it seems like games we're seeing now, it seems like at the start, yeah, there was like the Xbox version's weak or it's not as good, but you're seeing more and more of that go away and it's getting better. So I think now devs are more used to the system. So I think Scorpio will be the same way. Maybe right at launch, they'll have some good games for it come out. I believe, like I said, Halo 3 anniversary, I can see that. Like they did Halo 2 and how good that looks on the Master Chief Collection. Maybe have a 4K native upgraded version of Halo 3 and all these other great games coming out. But I think as Scorpio goes on and more devs use it, they'll be able to get more power from it and just kind of go from there. But yeah, I think it's very interesting to see. I know we got a lot of good games coming, and I guess another thing was if maybe some games may be ready in spring, if they may push it off a little just to be launched for Scorpio. So I do think maybe possibility, I'm pretty sure Forza 7, maybe Halo 3 and Red Dead Redemption, maybe Crackdown, have a good launch lineup and have people kind of see immediately. I think that'd be a big thing, not just have a new system come out, but really nothing to kind of showcase it right away. It would be good if they had some stuff like that. But yeah, I think they got the ball rolling on that. It'd be interesting to see.
Good point.
I'm pretty sure before E3, they may have another event. I know that's another question. If y'all think if they announce everything at E3 or do more showcasing the Scorpio a few weeks before, a month before, and then just at E3 show the games in 4K on the Scorpio and how it looks like.
That's my dream. That's my dream, man.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, I hope they do a separate event for the actual reveal of the actual Scorpio. I mean, it'll be nice to reveal it at E3, because it's still the biggest gaming event in North America. But I can see them doing some type of event, just for the Scorpio. I think that would be neat. Maybe after showing off some games at E3. I don't know if they'll reveal it there. Maybe they will. I mean, it's still kind of what's E3, June typically, and they said it's coming out sometime 2017 in the fall or something like that. So, I don't know.
Like how they do with the
I
S.
mean,
In the very beginning of the conference, they just showed it and the high points and boom, and then the price and all that. I think that'd be cool to do that for the Scorpio. Just the highlights and everything good, and then reveal the price then. But a separate event, go more into the hardware that people want.
Into the hardware, yeah.
Stuff like that. So.
Good point. All right, live. Let's go ahead and end the topic with you, man. How do you feel about the Scorpio, man? The games got the ball rolling, hardware.
Well, to be honest, I think that Scorpio, the games are already being built, because I wouldn't be surprised if third party is about to be part of Xbox's Play Anywhere, because that's the way they can get Windows to Windows platform to sell to people on PC. Because Steam is big, and the only way you can even come close to trying to chip into that number is you got to provide a service that they're not. And Steam are only going to play on PC. They're not playing on any other platform unless you have multiple PCs. So, if they provide that service where you can get games on Xbox and on your PC through the Microsoft app, the Windows app, then they possibly could do something special. And I think the game that will push that is probably Red Dead, because we don't know if it's coming to PC day and date. So if Xbox can get Red Dead 2 for Xbox One, Scorpio, and play everywhere, that'll be a big win for them, especially because we'll know when it's coming to Steam. So that's why I'm not really worried about Scorpio, because I think they're going to use pretty much the same assets from PC, so it's not like I think what you've seen from Gears is probably what you're going to see from Gears. I mean, on Gears on PC, you're going to see that on Scorpio. What you saw from Forza on PC, you probably see that on Scorpio. So I just think that you're going to, from now on, you're just going to see whatever the Windows version of these multi-plats are, that'll be the same on Scorpio. That's my theory on it.
Okay. Cool, good points, man. A lot of good points around the board. A lot of us feel very strongly about this Scorpio, man, and yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a great system. I know we didn't get too much into the price point. That's going to be interesting too. With Phil kind of coming out saying that it's not going to be anything we haven't seen before, which most people are thinking in the $500 range, which is a lot lower than some people were predicting earlier. If it comes in at $5, I think that's a huge plus for Microsoft if they can, or Xbox if they could get it at about $500. Now, we don't know if there's going to be iterations like Eric was saying earlier. There may be different hardware, sets, or different, hard drive sizes. It go up $50 as the hard drive gets bigger. So who knows? It's definitely an exciting time, and gonna be really, really exciting next year around E3 time to see what we see from the Scorpio. So now we're going to take questions, everyone. Questions in the chat. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a few out of here before we decide to go ahead and wrap up the show, man. You guys have been great here today. Once again, if you have not subscribed, to everybody here on the panel, most of us here have YouTube channels. Please go out and subscribe to these gentlemen. They have great content, do great things on their channel. So let's go ahead and grab a couple questions here before we go ahead and end the show. I know She-Wolf. Shout out Lady She-Wolf too. And I know there's another, I think it was Alan. What was his name? Alan Roberts. Yeah, he wanted to shout out too, man. Xbox is the best spot for sure, man. So shout out to you, Alan. Thank you for rocking out with us here today. So I'm gonna take She-Wolf's first lady of Xbox question. Yeah, so let me find it, She-Wolf. I don't want you to kick my ass. Where is it at?
We cutting some pumpkins.
Yeah, I know, but she threw that. Here it goes. She said, what does the panel think about Gears of War 4's first DLC maps are returning favorites from Gears 3? So I still don't own Gears yet. I know everybody out there listening, I know you're going to slap me. I just haven't gotten around to getting it yet, man. Been a little bit busy. But I'm going to be getting it soon. So anybody that hasn't here on the panel, you guys can answer the question. Just, how do you guys feel about the Gears, some of the Gears 3 maps return?
Man, I'm amped for it, but you know what? It's been so long since I played Gears 3 multiplayer. I can't even tell you. I can't really remember what those maps look like, man. To be honest, man. But I'm down for it, man. Gears 4 is dope. So whatever they bring in, man. Yeah, I'm ready, man. I was just playing fucking Gears a couple of minutes ago, getting my fucking nuts blown off. So yeah, I'm amped, man. I'm ready to go.
All right. Anybody else want to tackle that question? GKB, Eric, anybody?
Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I would say I'm about the same way. I haven't played as much as I want to, but I mean, anytime you bring fan favorite maps or whatever, and Gears 3 is an awesome game. So I'm like with Livewire. I don't remember much of the maps, but hey, anytime you bring things like that that please the fans and stuff, that's always awesome. Maps like that's always pretty cool. I definitely would like to hop on and do some of that. And I'm hoping, and I don't know what the plan is for DLC like Halo 5. I mean, that's one reason I love Halo 5, just because how much DLC is coming since launch. So if they do more stuff like that with Gears and just have this go for a long time and add some favorite maps or some additions, that'd be pretty awesome. So that's cool. I'm digging it.
Yeah, for me, it's awesome to see some of these old fan favorites. Like I think it was like Dry Dock and Checkout. I think those are going to be really cool. I can't wait to see them in Gears 4 and stuff. I'm not a big like multiplayer guy for Gears. I'm more horde and campaign stuff, but it's really cool that they're taking care of the fans as usual. So
Nice. Yeah, definitely like to see that too. Anytime they do a fan service is always great. And the good thing about this is that we know what's going to be done right. So they've done a damn good job with Gears 4 as it is, and we know they're going to do those maps justice from Gears 3. So I am not worried at all about those maps, and I think it's kind of cool. So got another question here from Juan. Shout out to you, Juan, for Mental. Thank you for staying here live and viewing the podcast. Appreciate the support. You said now that Microsoft is making their own VR headsets, which games so you said what games you guys like to see Microsoft Studios try to make for VR? I don't know if they're actually like making the headset. I think aren't other companies making the headsets, or are they able to?
Yeah, other companies.
Other companies are
manufacturing the headsets. Microsoft isn't manufacturing their own headset. The only type of headset they are that's the Microsoft brand is the HoloLens, but that's obviously not for game use as of yet. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's a nice way. Microsoft has been tiptoeing with this whole VR thing. They've kind of put their foot in the ring, but they haven't, jumped in head first as of yet. They've done it with the Oculus being bundled. You getting controller, things like that. Now they're doing it with allowing other developers to make affordable VR headsets. They said $299, I believe, was the price point that they talked about, which is that's really cool. Because you got a lot of. I think Vive is $800. Oculus is that one. I seen a bundle for Oculus for like $900 or something like that, even more. So I think it's kind of cool this route without actually diving headfirst into the VR, the whole VR ring. So anybody else want to answer that question?
Yeah, like I think Microsoft's playing it, really smart right now. They're letting other people, build these things. They're not putting a lot of money into it because they want to see, where VR is headed. Is it just going to be a fad like 3D TV and everything else? And right now, not a lot of people are talking about VR. So is that going to be kind of the thing going forward? Not really. It's going to just fall away at the wayside. Who knows? Like. People talk about experiences and, it's this, that, and the other. I've tried a lot of the VR headsets. I haven't tried PlayStation VR or that Microsoft one yet, so I don't know. And it still comes down to I'm not a fan of, like, putting this headset on my face and, losing all grasp with, the outside world here. I honestly and personally believe that, AR is going to be, like, pushing gaming and everything else forward. And I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, once it becomes affordable, and that definitely takes time because AR is more expensive than VR, far more expensive than VR at this point. So I think one of them damn HoloLens kits is like $3,000 or something. I think.
Well, if you see like
something like that.
If you see Microsoft, they're developing HoloLens, but who's to say that they won't do like what they're doing in the VR, like let other third parties develop off that technology and stuff. So you never know, man. Like what's down the line.
Yeah, I know it's a focus for Microsoft.
Good point.
So, Nadella, I think, was mentioning in this article about, of course, I know Windows phones, and sadly, they missed the mobile market, but they're going to pursue the mixed reality and really put a splash in that and not miss out on that. So I do the thing with Smart because I'm glad they did like the partnership with Oculus and had, the controller with it and not develop their own like Sony did, because you never know how it's going to go. And I think it's just easier for them to kind of fund and like have support for that stuff. And like when the Scorpio comes out, then have, compatibility with the Oculus Rift or stuff like that, I think it'd be pretty good. And what's this question about games that could possibly go on there?
Yeah, what game would you want on there?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, because I'm not guy either,
okay.
but I mean, I could see like Forza would definitely be a big one. That'd be kind of neat, driving and you looking around. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, Forza would be cool.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I would say Halo, man.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Halo will be good, but you need a game that's stationary.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You would play a Halo game, but you would play stationary, and I say they probably get a gun for it or something like that, and it'd be like a trenches game, where it's like or what it would be like is on rails, like you're basically the guy's already in motion, and you just got to shoot whatever, or he's in a car and you got to shoot whatever. Like you're always like the second guy. You're always playing the second guy, just shooting shit. That shit would be dope. Kind of like those games that you play in the arcade with like Jurassic Park and shit like that.
Yeah.
Those are
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would almost have to be that type of game.
Matter of fact, if they made a Jurassic Park game like that, what?
I think that would be fresh. Good points. So I'm gonna take one last question before we wrap it up here, everybody. So last question from Master Yoda. Shout out Master Yoda 62. He said, with BF1 expected to sell around 16 million, and then hey for COD, could this be Battlefield's year? So anybody want to go ahead and tackle that question?
Yes.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I do think if any time in history, this would be the best chance for Battlefield to outsell COD, but you never know. Like I said, COD is one of those games that many people that don't like to game or are hardcore gamers, that's usually the only game they get throughout the year. So it could be just all. I think, too, they're smart with the whole remaster of Modern Warfare. I think if they didn't have that, maybe, but I think just that alone, a lot of people want to get that right away just for that. Which
I think Battlefield will outsell it in the long run, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe.
I think so too.
It said, Mike said from here to December, but Battlefield might be like next year or two, it's still gonna be selling.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I think COD's gonna sell because it's COD, and even though as good as Battlefield is, you have to play it for you to know how good it is. And because if most people like myself, I've played Battlefield before, and I just thought it was way too fucking hectic. I couldn't follow it. It wasn't until this year. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know the matching. I don't know. I don't know what they did, but the game is just easier to understand what it is you need to do in order to accomplish your goals. I don't know what it is, but with Call of Duty, like literally the only way Battlefield could beat Call of Duty is if they didn't make a fucking Call of Duty. Like that. It's only because like the people that buy it they see the commercial and they just go buy it. Like as incredible as Battlefield looks, people will look at it and be like, man, that looks crazy. But you know what? I gotta get COD though. It's fucking COD. And they'll get it and they'll shit on it and return it. But that doesn't guarantee that they'll go out and buy Battlefield. Yeah. And even if they do buy it, they might be buying it used. So it still wouldn't register. So
it would just never learn.
I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
It'll be close, but they're not gonna take them over.
Yeah.
COD steady dropping though for year to year. It's been dropping. So I'm guessing this, like you said, this might be the year.
Yeah, but they're not dropping to 16 though. They might drop to 20, but they're not dropping to 16.
Well, shit, I don't even know what the last one did, to be honest with you. I don't even think it did.
I was like 27 or some shit like that.
Did it? Oh, shit.
Yeah. I don't know what that high.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that high. About 20.
I don't know, because I know the highest selling COD was Black Ops 1, and that was like 24 or something. So I don't think anything's even came close to that since then. So I don't know. I mean, I just like Eric said, I think this is Battlefield. This is the best chance one has to take a bite out of that COD market, because people are not as excited with Infinity Ward and with the direction of Call of Duty that this year that they've been previous years. So I think this is a good chance for them to sneak in and steal some of that market. Don't know if it's going to happen. Probably not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet on it, but it's damn sure a good chance.
Well, here's the thing, like
play.
as far as like Battlefield and COD, like who's going to do better? I mean, if we're talking like strictly sales and whatnot, I think Battlefield 1's made me a believer in Battlefield like no other Battlefield's done. Like I really enjoy Battlefield 1. It's a fantastic game. But here's the thing with COD this year is it has this nostalgia, like Mooch likes to say, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and it's got Modern Warfare. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably going to be the most selling COD or pretty close to it due to that nostalgia in Modern Warfare. It's not because of Infinite Warfare, because it looks like just like Black Ops 3 to me, but because of Modern Warfare. And I think that's the part that we're leaving out here. I think it's probably going to make a killing just based off that.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. They were smart doing that, because if it was separate, no one will get the new one, but just because you have to buy the new COD to play that. And
they knew what they were doing, and that tells me that they're not as confident in this Infinite Warfare. That tells me, that just confirms that, because you made that game legitimately, like, okay, the only reason you motherfuckers is going to get to play this Modern Warfare is if you buy Infinite Warfare 2. It's like going on a date and your date making you take her sister.
Yeah.
Nothing else to do that night. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, that's how you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense.
No. It's like you getting hooked up with a girl, and you be like, man, this chick looks like a fucking Bow Wow, but her sister's bad as hell, but she invites her along. You be like, all right, I'll go.
Yeah, it's like kind of that situation. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and it's kind of one of those situations.
Friendly.
Good sign, honestly, for the franchise. It's just the fact that they made it. You have to get Infinite Warfare. Like, I don't give what you do. We're never going to sell this thing separately. You have to get Infinite Warfare to even play this remaster. So, I don't know. But great questions, everyone. Looks like we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. I know we went a little bit over, but we had such good topics, man. I want to tell everybody I appreciate them for coming out. I want to thank my 2 special guest subscribers for coming on here today, man. Love to have you guys on, man. I'm going to go ahead and go around the panel like I do and like I end every show, that everybody know where you can find you, Twitter. Like that. So we'll start with our 2 special guests. Start with you, Eric. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, hey, pretty much, I guess Twitter would be the best. It's EasyEman77 is my Twitter handle if you want to follow me on there. I really don't have a YouTube or anything going yet. But, you can pretty much follow me on there. And, of course, you can always add me on Xbox Live as EasyE77. Always be fun to game, do some Battlefield and Gears and Forza Horizon 3 and all that good stuff.
Cool. Good. So, Chuck, let everybody know where they can find you, Chuck.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Triple Cup Chuck. I'm always up on there. So if you just holler at me, I'm up. I'm getting it. So we could holler on them. Find me on Xbox at Triple Cup Chuck. I'm always gaming. If you see me, we friendly, just hop in with me if you want to play a game. I'm down to earth. I'm cool. We can get games in whenever I'm online. If I'm online, I'm gonna show them online. I don't really hop off. Yeah, I'm offline. So if you see me, just get at me. Check out my YouTube channel at Triple Cup Chuck. I talk about gaming, more games, all the stuff all around games. And I got one other little thing I want to say on PTK is because of you. I mean, you don't know this because I'm a long time listener, and it was way back in the days. You were saying something about but the inbox you on Twitter. I didn't have no Twitter page, but you was the person that made me say, let me go start a Twitter page. So I started my Twitter page at the time, but I wasn't ready. So I said, well, I'm not.
Wait, whatever.
Out a little bit.
Oh,
there you go.
Welcome me in with open arms. And I appreciate it by the end of.
Okay, I think he's cutting out. He cut out a little bit.
Community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'd like to thank you for having me on your show.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. I didn't know that. It's kind of cool to hear people tell me stuff like that because otherwise I wouldn't know at all. So it's kind of neat. I'm humble, man. Thank you for being a long-time listener, subscriber. Glad you enjoy what we do here on the Shop Podcast and on the channel, man. Appreciate your time, too, you and Eric, man. I know you guys took a little time out of your evening, Saturday evening to come hang out with us. So I really appreciate you guys. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the usuals. So go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, Governor, if they don't already know, which they should. So shame on you if you don't already.
Governor. We don't want no He's like, we're having yellow cake, sir.
Oh man. What's up, everybody? Big shout out to She Wolf. She's part of Gamers Knows Best channel and all that kind of stuff. I'm GKB, the governor. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Gamers Knows Best. We're gonna be doing community game time tonight. We're playing Doom. They got those private matches and all that kind of stuff going on, and we do Console Corner on Tuesday nights, guys. It's going to be a really fun show. We're all dressing up. It's going to be doing like a Halloween stuff, so please be sure to come check it out. They're going to be on Xbox Nation on Wednesday, and then hopefully doing something with BLAM on Thursday, and then just doing all kinds of crazy
we got
shit
that coming.
else.
Yeah,
man.
You guys don't forget about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Me and GKB been talking for a little while. We got something coming up, something special for the subscribers for both of our channels. So you guys tune in. We'll probably be talk about it more as the week goes on, and we'll have something up for you guys Thursday. We'll let you guys know ahead of time, though, when we're going to do it for sure, though. All right. And then last but not least, Livewire himself, unless you have something else you wanted to say, GKB. I don't want to cut you off.
No, man, you're good.
Okay. All right, Livewire, go ahead, brother.
What's going on, people? It's your boy Livewire. Public service announcement, man. Don't let these people put your kids in the special ed. Fucking spank your kids, discipline them, but don't let them put them in special ed, man. It's a terrible thing, man. I can't see any more kids go to special ed because they don't know how to sit still in class, man. It's terrible, man. Public service announcements to all you parents out there. They're telling your kids you need to go to special ed because they can't sit still. No, it just needs a good spanking or a timeout or some shit like that, man. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, it's your boy Live. You can catch me say wild shit here and there. That's what I do. That's who I am. You could just ask around. I'm the same on there as I am off air. It is what it is. And hopefully I can get back on gears and shoot that dude's nuts off because he fucking got me earlier. I'm mad as hell about that shit. Disrespectful bastard.
For sure, man. And don't forget, Livewire he has great content, man. Funny as shit, man. So go subscribe to him, GKB, Triple Cup Chuck also too, man. Great content. So I am BLAM, the host with the most, man. You guys have always shown me support. Appreciate you guys here on the channel. Please don't forget to thumbs up the video, like the video, comment. I love reading you guys' comments for the podcast. I do have some more videos coming down the pipeline here soon. Me and GKB got something working in the works for next Thursday. Hopefully that pans out. I'm sure it will. We'll work something out. We'll get it figured out, and we'll let you guys know. It'll be a surprise for a lot of our subscribers. So, man, I'm hyped, man. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting. Glad to have all these guests here, man. As GKB would say,
take care of your fellow gamers.
Man, you guys have a good one, man. Take it easy. Enjoy your rest of your weekend.
Peace.
See y'all later.
Peace.